Hello YouTubers, Troz here, and this is going to be a pretty special episode of Infinifactory. Because this is not the save game I've been playing on YouTube. As I've said a few times, my YouTube playthrough has been basically my second playthrough. This game came out in early access back in January of 2015. I picked it up shortly after it came out, and I played it. And then once it did get some updates throughout its life in early access and some changes, and then once it finally came out officially, shortly after that is when I decided to start my playthrough. So you've all been watching my second playthrough. I backed up that save, and this is the save from my first playthrough. And basically in this episode we're going to compare some of my solutions my first time through with my solutions the second time through. So let's get to it. We're going to start out in the Proving Grounds. Okay, on the screen now you should be seeing a snippet of a spreadsheet that I put together. On the left side is scores from my YouTube videos, basically my second playthrough, where on the right half is my original game scores. I have basically two of the solutions listed, although I have an asterisk if the third solution is also interesting. Right below that I have Reddit scores from the Reddit threads for best cycles, best footprint, and best blocks. For cycles, no GRA means no giant rotator arms, which are basically big swinging arms that can move blocks around quickly. For the footprint listing, the left column is the actually minimum obtained, while the right column is the minimum thought possible. There's no listing of solvers here because these are basically easy levels and probably multiple people came up with the same solution. Well, for training routine 1, these all early ones are all simple. So there's really not too big of a difference. Over here, though, this solution is faster by, quite a few cycles. It's 44 cycles versus 53 in my earlier playthrough. So let's take a look at that. This runs at max, apparently. So let's start it up. And well, it looks like a simple solution. A lot of people have 44 as their fastest. This solution here has 4 blocks, but I also had a solution like that in my YouTube playthrough, so it's not really that interesting. Actually, this one is slower than my YouTube playthrough, but I bet it just takes a longer path. This solution is interesting in that it takes a giant amount of time. Basically, there is an achievement in the full game to create a solution that finishes in over 10,000 cycles. This was my second attempt. You'll later see my earlier attempt. Let me just explain this one. Actually, I don't think these blocks here are necessary. I just had them here because it looked like things would fall there, but it turned out not to be the case. But yeah, this is a series of 8 devices. You can see it here. Each device actually consists of 2 sensors. It probably can be optimized. Actually, 3 sensors because there's a sensor here as well, and 3 pushers. And basically, this acts as a toggle. Every other time a block comes here, it will be thrown over the edge, and then the next time one will be let through, but then the next one will be thrown over the edge. So basically, each of these halves the number of blocks. And I have 8 of them. So that means for every 256 blocks that come here, 1 will make it out and be outputted. But because of the spacing between the blocks, yeah, I think there's like maybe 6 cycles between each block. Yeah. that's what makes this thing take so long. So let's run it, and really the only way to run this is at high speed because it takes forever. But you can see every other block is coming out and then being dumped off. So the other blocks have long reached their 10 output, and we still have yet to output one of these. In fact, I think it takes something like 1,500 cycles or so. You see that we got a block out to here. And let's... it really takes a while. I'm probably not even going to get one block out, but I'm going to wait until we get one to there. And here we go. Here comes the one to here. And now we basically have to double that time to actually get one output. But basically, how it works is that resets it and lets one through, but then when it hits here, this sets it back. You can see there's basically that block there is toggling, so that moves it away. So okay, we'll let the next one through. But yeah, that's how that works. So let's go back to the barracks. Alright, for training routine 2, in my YouTube playthrough, my best cycle score was a 44 with a 42 footprint and a 27 block. I also had one that solved it in 8 blocks. Well, let's see. We also have a 44 with a better footprint score. Very simple. Here's the barracks. We have a 7 block solution. These build their own path. Takes a while to get started, but the output's them quickly once it does. So that's this one. This is probably identical to that one. Okay, training routine 3. In my my YouTube playthrough, I got a 74 cycle 9 block solution. Actually might be identical to this one. Well, we have a 4 block solution and then one that's really fast. Let's look at the 4 block solution. So this is going to pile up and then shove them out. And then we have this 49 cycle solution. Yeah, basically with this I tried to minimize the amount of time that the input is blocked. Normally, as they fall, even if you're on max, you're going to get a space between blocks. So this will only block for 2 cycles. Now, I know there's more tricks that you can actually only block for 1 cycle. But basically, we make 2 sets of 5 of these 3 long sticks at a time. And that gets us close. It's not the best. but it's, you know, pretty good, I think. Training routine 4 here. In my YouTube playthrough, I had a 57 cycle solution that had a 14 footprint and a 7 block score, as well as a build that had a 4 block score. Here, this is basically the best cycle score. We build all 10 at once. Again, this is to reduce the amount of blocking time, and we basically time everything so they get pushed out right on top of each other, and we just weld them in 2 sets, an upper set and a lower set, so they don't get all welded together. So let's watch this run. And there we go. Let's go back to the barracks. This is a 3 block solution. It's the other interesting solution that I have listed here. Although this one is also interesting. This is the lowest footprint that I could come up with, which is 12. Let's take a look at that first. This is lowest footprint. It basically sticks the welders under the output here. And there's 2 extra early blocks that we use to fill up the space there. But if you're looking for low blocks, this uses only 3 blocks. We got 2 welders and 1 conveyor. This is a low input rate, so everything lines up, but and that's that. Okay, training routine 5 is we had a 58 cycle, 57 footprint, 30 block solution in my YouTube playthrough. So this 59 block solution, 59 cycle solution, I should say. There's a little delay here, so everything lines up, but that's about how that one works. Let's go back to barracks. We have this 32 block solution. This is not nearly the lowest block solution. I do know of... I'm just going to hit play again for a second. I do know of there's a few solutions exist that block up this so no blocks can come out, and then just use the blocks over here. That that lowers the blocks, but I think that's actually mainly for footprint. Desktop. Speaking of footprint, I have this 44 block footprint, but again, this uses this one, and I know there are a few solutions that do away with that. But this has everything lined up. And then welds everything, well, basically at the end. Okay, that's it for the Proving Grounds. Let's go on to Skydock 19. I'll just give you another quick look here at my scores for Skydock 19. You can see that in my original game, I have some better solutions, but I did get some also pretty good solutions in my second playthrough. Here in Skydock 19, we have, well, here's the first puzzle is Munitions Refill Type 2. And my previous solution that I did was 82 cycles, 27 footprint, 4 blocks. At least that's the one I ended up with. In the earlier, I had a solution that had 52 cycles in my YouTube video, but I then modified that to a low block solution, and I don't know what the stats were for the other faster solution. However, I did here have a 36 cycle solution. So let's take a look at that. It should be obvious how this one works. And we just push 5 at a time and they come out quickly. However, let's see, I have a 3 block solution. Yes, this is a little crazy, but stuff rides around on these 3 conveyors. These don't count, basically, and they push all these blocks along, and then we have one here that pushes them that way. So let's so that's basically that. Now, as small as this 3 block solution is, there's some crazy people on Reddit that actually have a 1 block solution to this, just using lots of platforms that get all pushed crazy ways to push the munitions cases where they need to go. Although it will only work for 10, it won't output at an 11th if the game could be made to run that long. 3 is the minimum for infinite solution. I also have this 27 block solution, but that's basically the 27 footprint solution, but it's the same footprint that I had in my YouTube playthrough. So let's go on to Munitions Type 6. On my YouTube playthrough, I had a 73 cycle score, 51 footprint, and 48 block count. Well, obviously here I have a 64 cycle score. So let's take a look at that. And yeah, this actually outputs 3 sets at a time. Obviously takes up a lot of footprint here. But there we go. 64. I do have a 7 block version. So this basically uses a pusher that pushes 3 off at a time and very few conveyors. Well, there we go. And let's see, this solution uses a small footprint. This is actually 1 footprint smaller than my YouTube solution. Again, it's not the fastest, but you know, when you're going for a footprint, you're usually not going to get a good cycles. So that had a 26 footprint score. Alright, let's shuttle propulsion units. On my YouTube playthrough, I had a 29 cycle, 42 footprint, 32 block score. Here I have a faster solution at 91 cycles. And yeah, this is the one where you have to make two different engine sizes, a shorter one and a longer one. So, again, it looks like I'm using the strategy here of having at least blocking of the input as possible. And it looks like I'm making two of each type at a time. And then they use rotators, which I didn't have in my YouTube playthrough. I basically did not go back, but in the game you can go back to any of the earlier levels after you unlock extra components like these rotators and use them to speed up. Going diagonally with these rotators like that is faster than using conveyor belts. Additionally, I have a small footprint of only shuttle propulsion units. Yes, 26. This was smaller than my 32. And basically using these blocks here as a timer to tell the piston when to extend, so we get alternating 2 and 3s. And the 3 passes through the 2 output because it's larger. And so they actually get output at the exact same time. Of course, this, because we're using a timer and blocks like that, is sensitive to the input rate, so something like this isn't really easy to change the input rate of without having to modify the timer. The next is the wave detection array. In my YouTube playthrough, I had a 150 cycle, 55 footprint, 35 block solution. And then I made a solution that only used 19 blocks, but increased the cycle score to 165. So I have a faster solution here at 178 cycles. So let's oh yes, this again, trying to block as little as possible and basically make 3 of these at a time. Send some off to the left, some off to the right of each of these, and then they drop down and get output. Let's go back to the barracks. So for wave detection array, I had obviously 2 other solutions. They're actually both faster than the solution I did previously in my YouTube playthrough, but neither of them are better in any other way. You know, I had a 35 block solution, or 19 actually even. So these are just bigger and, well, they were faster than my initial YouTube solution, but they're slower than that one. Let's go on to guided javelin type 1. And in my YouTube playthrough, I had a 121 cycle, 51 footprint, 46 block solution. So that was faster than this one. Not as fast as this one, and definitely not as fast as this one. I'll just show this quick. Let's see what this is like. This was basically stick the engine on and then stick the nose cone on in 2 different steps. Now, let's go back to barracks. Let's just see this solution. Oh, this is do it all in one step. This is probably my initial solution, considering that it was from the first. So the same sensor that triggers the pushing of the 3 there also triggers the pushing of the rocket off. So yeah, that's this solution. This solution is crazy. Let me just take a look here. It's not the best solution possible, but well, you can kind of see the crazy already. We make 10 missiles at a time here. I have to be careful because it says, you know, this extends far off. Basically, this little piece here and this piece here hold 10 unwelded missiles together, stacked up, so they can get welded right here. There's only one welding station, but basically we get 10 of each, 10 of the nose cones, 10 of the rockets, and 30 of the body parts. And we stack up the body parts here, we drop the engines down here, and then the nose cones come in from over top, and then this thing, that block, pushes them all into the welders, and they get welded, pushed off, and then the next one comes in and gets welded, and then these things come around again. This is an infinite solution. So this little mechanism here that catches this little overhang pulls it off and then puts it back on this little path so it can go around again. I'm not sure what the best way to look at this thing is, but maybe something like this. So I'm going to run it here. And all of this is intricate. Yeah. The timing is very delicate, and you get 1, 2. Here come the nose cones. Here comes the rocket bottoms. There goes the third part. All right, I'm gonna stop it there because that would output and end. Let's look at some of the timing back here. There's a big clock to determine when to push the nose cones versus when to push these. In fact, that has an extra delay on it by using this stuff here. It also times when to push. You'll see. Let me. So, this is sitting here, waiting for this to be retracted so it can push the pieces along. If this was not here, basically what would happen is the engines would move, but the rest of it wouldn't, and they just fall. And because this is here, it gets dragged along on the conveyor belt, and it pushes all the other pieces along, at least until they hit the welder and get all welded together. So let's look at this one more time, maybe a different angle here. You got pushers, they pull back, allowing that to drop, and it only gets should only get blocked for one cycle. And yeah, that we are all set to go again. It's just now that I was looking at it, I think these actually do block for 2 cycles, so that might be an area of improvement. Well, that's basically that. We're about at the 30-minute mark here. So I'm just gonna put my scores back up on screen, and I have the best of what the people on Reddit found out or figured out to compare them to. But that's going to be it for this episode. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. We'll move on to the next areas: Resource Site 526.81 and Production Zone 2. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.